You're tuned into Forked Podcast. This week's guest is Kelly Craig, model and actress who helps us to understand the importance of exploring and learning.
I think it's unfortunate when people waste time regretting the things that they've done. I think everything happens for a reason depending on where you're at in your life. And I think it's important to just learn from those things, move on, and keep growing.
Hi there, I'm Sean Chris Lewis. Welcome to Forked Podcast. And today I am with a very dear friend, Kelly Craig. Listen, you might know her from blockbuster movies like 300, Oracle of Delphi. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Runway model. This girl is great, and she has a lot to share with us today. So, Kelly, welcome to Forked Podcast.
Thank you, Sean.
Hey, man, I'm really happy to have you here. I've been trying to get you in for a few weeks now, but you've been going through some moving, like your life's a little bit upside down. So, putting that all aside for me, much appreciated, Kelly.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Hey, man. So I went out there and I did a little Google searching on Kelly Craig just so I can get my facts straight about things that maybe you didn't want to tell me about. And then I come across this wiki page and I'm like, Kelly Craig, my friend, has a wiki page. What is that? Can you explain a wiki page to me? I might be ignorant, but like, what is that?
You know, I wasn't the one that made that, so I don't know who did. But if you Google me, it's a small description of.
Okay, hold on. Somebody you don't know?
I have no idea. No, I have no idea.
So
we don't fan or something.
A fan?
Yeah.
All right. So the actress world can get a little sketchy, I guess, from time to time,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
How's the wiki page? Do you find that it's an accurate depiction of yourself?
Not anymore, no. I've done a few more things since then. I think it's mostly covers just the early years of my modeling career and 300.
There has been so much transformation in your life from the time that I met you. Actually, we go back probably about 15 years when you first came in to see me when I was working primarily as a personal trainer. You came in and you were looking to change your life, get healthier. You felt that the environment that you were working in wasn't conducive to good health. And yeah, you actually challenged me because I was a little bit earlier in my career and you wanted to figure out how you can manage your weight and things because you were, it wasn't a Shape magazine model. You were doing runway modeling, which the body types are very different. And it must have been very challenging for you as a female.
It definitely was. Kind of unrealistic expectations that the agencies put on you. I was very young too at the time, and they didn't give me a healthy way to manage my weight. I was basically told to go running and to not eat any carbs. Boil my chicken breasts, green beans, no watermelon, no bananas, no carrots. They even suggested a grapefruit diet at one point to get ready for Fashion Week. So you go on this diet for a week and all you eat are grapefruits.
I don't want to assume that everybody who goes into that career walks away with it with problems or has to deal with stressors, because everybody deals with stress differently. So I don't want to assume that created any kinds of issues for you around your body type image or things. But if it did create some problems for you, could you sort of share with people what you can do?
Yeah. Well, essentially, the information that the agency was giving me about losing weight, it wasn't working for me. I didn't feel good. I wasn't getting anywhere with it, actually. And so I started to look elsewhere and at people in the fitness industry, and that's when I found you. Yeah. Thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
When I couldn't even do a lunge.
on your toothpicks.
On my toothpicks that were only good for running,
And now with Matt, what are you doing like for your max squats? What is your?
I think I'm at 175.
Yeah.
One max rep.
Yeah, Kelly,
or one rep max.
just for the listeners, trains also with Matt Suckalukchuk, who was on our one of our first podcasts, and he just pushes you, man, to lift heavy and hard. It's quite impressive. That for me was, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that then when I met you and I told you where I was at and what I needed to achieve, and you gave me a healthy way to go about it, to actually that allowed me to eat more, build muscle, lift weights, and it really helped me maintain my body weight and feel good.
Yeah, and I mean, we had stayed very much in touch over that period of time, and you maintained the body type that you needed to continue your career.
Yeah.
I mean, you had two choices, right? You could walk away from the career, say that I'm done, I don't want to expose myself to this, or you could try something new that might or might not work, but it seemed to really work because your career had gone on for a few years after we'd been working together. And every time I saw you, your energy was higher, you were feeling good, and you were developing this strong interest towards physical fitness, which is kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to it, and I feel them on a daily basis. Like now I'm at a point where I train about 4 or 5 times a week. And you have days where you don't really feel like going to the gym and you kind of drag yourself there. But like I always feel so good after training. Just gets those endorphins going. Feeling strong has helped me so much in my life. It's empowered me in so many ways, and it's given me so much more confidence in myself and the strength to do things that I probably didn't have before.
You're a tall, slender figured person naturally. But when we did your first like weigh-ins and did your body testing, you were kind of shocked to see like you were slim, but your visceral fat, which is that fat internal belly stuff, which is not good for us.
Yeah.
You were kind of shocked to say, oh my God, like my numbers are not that good.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wasn't very happy with the way I was looking on the outside, but a lot of people would have looked at me and said, oh, but you're in good shape.
Yeah, and I think there's a tendency to think, oh, you're lucky because of you're slim and you're tall. But I know you work very hard to be fit and healthy.
Yeah.
And part of being fit and healthy just has this side effect of giving us a different physique, right? I don't want to say a better physique because some people don't really worry about that. But I don't see any problem with wanting to be fit and looking good too.
Yeah.
I think that's also...
Me neither.
Yeah, and
it is important too.
Just to talk a little bit about how I see you as like emerging from this world of acting and modeling, and people have a tendency to think maybe that that's a fake world and it produces people who are fakes. And Kelly, I gotta say, one of the things that I've really appreciated about you so much is that you're such a transparent, real person. Like, I mean, if anybody just goes on your Instagram and sees your Halloween costume, like, well, a lot of young ladies go out and dress like the cat or the nurse. You're like in a zombie outfit and like looking super scary and gross. And how did you maintain this sort of natural, very real side? I mean, when you're immersed in a very kind of fake world.
I've always found it really important to remain present and be as real as possible. And there's a certain vulnerability to that.
We actually talked about that. We trained together this morning, guys. So we talked about that in the gym this morning, where we were talking about relationships.
Yes.
Really can hold you grounded.
Yes.
And I think when you wade out into that fake world and you don't have the right relationships, you could lose yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You can. And I've seen it in the modeling world and the acting world. It was always very important to me to remain grounded and truthful to myself so I could be truthful with others. And I also look for that in other people and the connections that I make, real people.
Yeah. And I know your mom. She's
Yes.
a very real woman. And
Yeah.
She must have been instrumental in helping you develop and be the woman you become.
Yeah, for sure. She My mom has a very, very big heart and wears her heart on her sleeve, and I've always admired that about her.
It was actually your mom who told me about your acting in that movie. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't I don't usually
Yeah,
tell
so okay,
people.
so I got it right. You were the Oracle of Delphi.
Yes.
That crazy scene where the smoke comes out and you do this crazy dance. And so tell me about that role a little bit. How did that
Oh,
happen? And is that one of the things that young actors out there who are like really holding on for their big ticket? Is this one of those things? It's a random event, and
oh, well, you know what? I wasn't even acting at that point. I was still only a model. Um, and 300 was shot in Montreal, and they had been looking for someone for this role for months. And they started to get desperate, so they reached out to modeling agencies. And so my agent called me up, and she was like, we have this role for you. You're going to be a mermaid. Okay. Okay. So
in 300.
yeah.
Who was the mermaid? I don't
think
recall.
she was just poorly informed. Anyway, I go to the audition. I have no idea what to expect. I get there. It's like kind of like two rocker dudes with like long hair, and they're like, "Hey, all right, so just like get down on your knees and pretend you took some like crazy drugs and like dance and like freak out." Okay. And then they're like, and then after that, we want you to collapse onto the floor and make up a language. And I was like, oh my, this just got really weird. Okay. So I did it. I did it a couple times, And they're like, thanks. That was great. And I left that audition and I was like, what? What just happened? What did I just do?
I didn't know any of this story, and
that was the weirdest thing I've ever had.
and you
to
pulled
do.
that off. You like did the drugged out dancing, and like
Yeah, because once I was there, I said, "Oh, I'll just go for it." I mean,
did you have any experience that led you to be able to do that? Or, I mean, is modeling somehow like force you to be creative in actions in front of people? I don't know.
actions in front of. I mean, you're modeling. You're also acting in front of the camera. I mean, it's in a different. It's in a different way, but it does help you become comfortable being on camera. I do have a dance background. When I was much younger, I used to dance.
Okay, so you drew on all like
all of these
all of
things.
your experience. So I
Yes.
think that's amazing because that really, really sort of drives home the point and the importance of us trying and doing many different things in life, because most times that we want to do something new, we're going to draw on all of our experiences and all the things we've done in the past, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so fun to experience like new things.
Yeah, man, I'm all on board with that because often I from doing interviews on Fork podcasts, you always hear that in periods where people had to redefine themselves. I don't like redefine because it means like leaving a part of you behind. I don't like that idea. I think that we're always carrying the who we are forward, but we sort of develop ourselves in a different way using all the tools that we already have.
Yeah.
That is critical. Being able to draw on many aspects of yourself when trying to do something different. So it's not about not being who you are anymore. It's about taking who you are and just developing it a little further into something else.
Constantly growing, learning from your past mistakes.
Past mistakes.
Well,
like, you don't have any mistakes,
No.
Kelly.
None of us do really. It's all perspective, I think, and how you look back on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I think it's unfortunate when people waste time regretting the things that they've done. I think everything happens for a reason, depending on where you're at in your life. And I think it's important to just learn from those things, move on, and then keep growing.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, man. I think that the things that happen or that we've done, regret is really one of those emotions that can stall us, right? They can really stop us from doing new things because we feel that that anchor in the sand of regret, that how dare I try to do something different when I've done this bad thing in the past, and you can't break away from that. What's your takeaway, Kelly, with say acting? It really is one of those careers where you just don't know. You don't know, am I going to get a call? Do you just have to throw a lot out there, lots of auditions, and how?
Well, the thing is that it's not really up to me. It's kind of up to my agent to find those auditions for me, and then the casting directors to have the roles for me to go in and audition for. It's definitely a bit of a crazy career choice, I would say, because it is so uncertain. That's kind of also what I like about it. I like the uncertainty,
Yeah, yeah.
and not really knowing. And then when you get something, it's really great. And then, you don't have something for a while, and you have to deal with that. So it kind of keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
It's never a dull moment.
How do you feel about like when I was trying to start my business as a personal trainer, and I only had like one or two clients, and I was in the cradle of frustration, and people would ask me what I do. I felt this, like this hesitation to say I'm a personal trainer because I wasn't it, thank God I started my career before Instagram. Holy smokes. Maybe right now I'd still say I'm not a personal trainer based on what I see on Instagram, man. Everyone's a baller out there, like 10K followers, and they're only following back 30 people.
Right.
Like it's so weird.
It's also pretty fake.
Yeah, it's pretty weird,
Yeah.
man. And I'm glad I didn't have to start a business in that climate. However, I did start work podcast in that climate, and it's really coming to attack a part of me that I haven't had to deal with in so many years. So how do you deal with being an actress and having done a blockbuster movie? And I know you were on Law and Order recently. No, what was you were a victim on.
Oh, that was The Detectives, a TV show.
Okay.
Most recently it was a McDonald's commercial.
I saw
for
that
McCafe.
Yeah, McCafe supporting McDonald's, Kelly, which is great. Listen, they have salads, man. It doesn't have to be a Big Mac.
$1 coffee.
Yeah, like just on that point. I just read this morning, somebody said McDonald's doesn't make you unhealthy. Just making it a regular part of your nutrition might. But you can go in there and order a salad, right?
Yeah,
you don't have to have it. I'm not down with that, man. Like bashing. My wife and I pulled into McDonald's while we were driving up north on the weekend, and we stopped to get a coffee, and I told her, I said, remember we were in Caracas, Annabelle, and we this was a few years ago. We went to Caracas and in Venezuela, and it wasn't particularly safe even then. That's a few years ago. Now forget about it. But like back then, it wasn't the safest city. And at one point there was like fireworks or firecrackers going off, a parade of people, and I'm like, this is the scene where you get robbed, man. This is the scene where you get knifed or something. And I was stressed. We were there with my parents, and we were just like, my mom looked like a tourist, like it just looked like she was begging to be robbed, and Annabelle and I were so stressed. And then we come around this corner and there's a McDonald's, the Golden Arches in Caracas, and we go in and I'm like,
oh, I can relax.
I'm in
now.
McDonald's, man. So a shout out to McDonald's for tourists who are feeling like they just need to feel grounded in home. Right? Like
Hilarious.
Yeah, man. Like all is well. You know, I'm in McDonald's. Man, nobody's gonna rob me in here.
No, I'm safe here under the Golden Arches.
So tell me, man, what's going on with training now, Kelly? Like things are new. Like I see something else coming out of you right now with your training.
Well, it's been, I think, over a year now where I've really started focusing on it a lot and hitting the gym a lot and lifting heavy. And I love it. I love it so much, and it makes me feel so good and so strong. And I mean, I encourage all women to hit the gym and lift weights and to not be scared to lift heavy. Because I think a lot of women worry that if they lift heavy, they're going to end up looking masculine or.
Look at you. You're great. You look at, like, when you flex, you got the muscles, but when you're relaxed, you just have, nice fit shape. Like
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I agree. Like, there's this thought that, oh, I'm going to get muscular. I'm going to have no neck and I'm going to have veins. But no.
I don't think people understand the amount of work you would have to put in to achieve that. To for instance, to get, as buff as Matt, for example, or anyone that's super buff.
I don't really, I don't
hard.
want to see a woman who gets buff like Matt.
It's hard to put on that, that amount of muscle mass.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. And like I said, I mean, I started off quite thin, and so it's taken me over a year to see a change in my body. And it's finally happening.
Well, I mean, there's a huge lesson in that, right, Kelly? Like, when you
Consistency is key.
It really is.
And patience, because you're not going to achieve results, in a month or 2 months. It takes time.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of a tendency right now we've got this sort of dichotomy going on, right? You got one school of thought saying, hey, don't put so much pressure on yourself, love yourself how you are. And then you have this other school of thought. It's like, train and pound yourself into the dust until you got nothing else left in the tank. And it's like, nobody's gravitating towards the middle, or if they're in the middle, they somehow feel like shy to say, no, I'm just, trying to be healthy and fit and doing my thing. But how do you feel about goals versus just, no goals?
I think short-term achievable goals are key.
I like that.
Yeah. Because you don't want to set the bar too high, isn't it? It makes it hard for you to get there, and you feel like a failure or disappointment or whatever. But small short-term goals, I think, are the best way to go.
I like that. I like that, because then it reinforces having goals. And they're
realistic.
That's right.
It's
and
not
then
unrealistic.
That's it, because then it keeps you off of the frontier of pounding yourself into the dust, because that's not sustainable, and you can't do that. You can't do that sustainably over time. So you'll find out that you can have goals, but you don't have to go over there to that extreme. But also, having the goal keeps you off the fence, where you're not really having any quantifiable sort of methods that will keep you on track, right? If you say, I'm just going to be healthy, it's a bit vague, and it's really hard to determine, am I being healthy, without maybe, checking your circumference, waist circumference, or, I don't want to say jumping on a scale, because a scale inevitably just causes such like weird thoughts for people. I do. And I know plenty of people who get on the scale and they're fine with it. Yeah. I just don't want to blast that out on the podcast, because I don't know who's listening, and I certainly don't want to.
I mean, I can't stand weighing myself, to be honest with you, because it doesn't actually tell me, it's just my weight. And like, I'm heavy now. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. 150 pounds.
Yeah, because you're carrying around a sack full of muscle on that body.
On these bones.
Yeah, but crazy, eh?
Yeah, but I've never liked weighing myself, because it doesn't tell me my body composition. It's just a weight.
Yeah.
So is that 150 pounds of fat? Yeah. Is that 150 pounds of muscle? Is that water retention? What is it?
Yeah.
I think that's more valuable than just your weight.
I totally agree, because if we went, when I first met you those 15, maybe even more years ago, I didn't do the math, but if we went just on weight, everybody would have said, oh, you're fine. Everything's just fine. Oh, you're with the, your BMI, your body mass index. Oh, you're
Yeah.
just fine. And meanwhile, you're not fine. You're unhealthy. You have no muscle on your body. Your visceral fat, the internal fat that we can't see, is high, which can lead to disease down the road.
Yeah.
It's not fine. And
No, it's not fine. And you coined the term skinny fat.
Yeah,
And it's a thing.
Yeah, yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a problem, and it becomes it becomes very apparent as you get older. It's a little bit, it's one thing to be, people saying, "Oh, I feel soft," and that's one thing versus when you're older, like after 50, into my age category, and you don't have muscle mass on your body, but you're still look of normal weight, and you get injured super easily. You don't heal as fast. If you fall, you can fracture things because your body's not well.
Yeah. Keep moving.
Yeah.
And I mean that in all senses of the word, like, moving, keeping active physically, but also keeping active mentally, getting out there and doing the things you have to do instead of sitting at home and dwelling. You got to keep on moving and one day at a time.
Yeah. I like that, Kelly. I like that. One day at a time, man. So, listen, Kelly, how can people reach out to you? Because, listen, I gotta say, you've been sharing with me that a lot of people are reaching out to you on Instagram, actually,
Yes, yeah.
and you're considering maybe getting into personal training.
I am.
How does that happen from the Kelly that I first met to this Kelly who's now a person going into personal training?
Well,
I love it.
I love being in the gym, and I'd like to give back.
Yeah.
I'd like to start helping people and feel good about themselves.
Yeah, man. Well, I strongly recommend anybody who has worked either in a similar field to Kelly. She can bring tremendous amounts of value to people to help to be healthy in the modeling world and healthy in the acting world, because there really is a need for people who can go into that and understand the challenges that people have in the industry.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we all know lots of actors, we all know lots of models, and we all know lots of people who've have developed perhaps some dysfunctional thinking around that. And I'm not saying that you got to act like a psychologist, but to at least, once you help people to understand health and fitness better in their career, you can transform their lives and actually extend their career and make them love it even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are we reaching you, Kelly? Where do we?
Well, you can reach me on Instagram. My handle is at Kelly Cray, KELLYCRAY.
Okay, and I'll put that in the show notes as usual. So, Kelly, in closing, any final words to people out there who are struggling in their industry, wondering, should I keep doing this? Am I ever going to get my day in the sun? Is it all worth it? Like,
we all go through that, we all have those thoughts. I just think it's important to keep moving, be consistent, work hard, connect with other people in your industry, motivate each other, and put yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being on Forked Podcast. It was just great having you here, and you have an awesome day, and you guys out there have an awesome day too.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Kelly.